So I hope this works, but I'm going to start recording right now. The Ohtani news just broke about 10 minutes ago. So I'm inviting Mitchell in right now. And let's see how he's doing. This is a big moment, and we're going to get Mitchell's live reaction here on BravesKast. Looking forward to it. For me right now, the biggest thing that stands out for me in the moment is just the amount. A lot of us were predicting 500 million. Some thought that was a much too high of a number. I mean, the biggest contract currently is now his former teammate, Mike Trout. Here we go. This is it. Hey, Mitchell. How are you doing?
I had processed Shohei to the Blue Jays yesterday. Got really excited. In my head, still gonna happen.
You're still in denial.
That is not the case. So Cole and I had scheduled this yesterday to talk about the very exciting David Fletcher trade, and we're gonna talk about that. About 10 minutes ago, the news dropped, and I think we gotta cover that first. So Shohei Ohtani is teammates with Freddie Freeman. If someone had told you that 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, what would your reaction have been?
He's a Brave.
100%.
He's
I'd
a
be
Brave.
so
That's
excited
it.
if I time traveled back to right after the World Series. I'm at the high of the World Series victory. The Braves have just won something that I thought was not going to happen in 2021. Freddie Freeman has his moment on the stage. Everybody's chanting, "Re-sign Freddie, re-sign Freddie." It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. Why wouldn't it happen? And then boom, I drop in right at that moment, and I go, "Hey, Mitchell, guess what? Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, when Shohei Ohtani is a free agent in a few years, they're going to be teammates." And that's all I said, and I zipped back to 2023. I would have put so much money on Freddie Freeman to the Braves in that moment, and
Well, you did in some way get your wish because they will be on the same team. Unfortunately, they are playing 3 hours behind us on the West Coast in Los Angeles for the Dodgers.
for the Dodgers with Mookie Betts.
In terms of just, and let's keep it to a Braves perspective. We are, of course, the top independent Braves podcast on YouTube,
Who
video
has
only podcast.
a musician who also got to speak to a music junkie. I don't know what his full-time job is, but he's a big music junkie.
He's some fast riser in the Braves organization.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been much on my radar though, but he was a cool
He's
guy.
a cool guy.
He was a cool
Maybe
guy.
after
Indie
you
music
watch
head.
this podcast, you should go back and we'll link it.
Will definitely be linked below. It was on some obscure YouTube channel called Foolish Bailey.
I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to come on here, and then I've certainly heard of Bailey. And the other guy too.
So just from a Braves perspective, in terms of worst case scenario where we are at, it's pretty bad. I think the only one worse would be if a division rival signed him. Out of the other teams that were on the list, the Giants were, as they are every year, in the rumor mill without actually signing anybody. We didn't really assess them as a threat. The Cubs, we haven't really had much playoff history with them. Their window coincided with our valley, or when we were very non-competitive as a team. The Dodgers have been, I would say, our biggest playoff rivals of the last 5 years. We were sort of seen as their playoff younger brother from 2018 to 2020 before eventually, avenging ourselves and winning in 2021. Of course, we won the World Series that year. Now they have a Shohei Ohtani. And, let's think about what this means for the short term. Next year, they have the best lineup in Major League Baseball. I don't really care. They could literally have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa batting fourth for them. They still have the best lineup just because of their 1 through 3.
Their 1 through 3
in my
unmatched.
mind.
Absolutely. I think there is no better 1, 2, 3 in baseball. Like not even close. We're talking Ohtani. I would disagree. I would disagree that they have the best lineup in baseball, especially if Alex Anthopoulos. I think he's done, but if there's one of those wild cards out there, we'll talk about that in a minute. I could certainly see the Braves, just because of the depth of the team, having a better lineup overall.
No, definitely the Braves lineup is a lot deeper, but I mean, we might see 3 players in the same lineup next year post WRC pluses north of 160, which has been only happened once in Major League history. As much as I love Ronald, Matt, and Austin, you have to imagine there's going to be some regression, but you could say the same, obviously, for Freddie, Mookie, and Shohei. But
Freddie's going to have to decline some point. He cannot
keep
getting away with this.
I think he can, actually.
He can't.
He has the most. There's get
no
out
way.
the swear jar, but he's had the most. We've talked about this extensively. He has the most fundamentally sound swing out of any Major League ball player. It's more similar to a golfer, and golfers tend to stick around.
I don't doubt Freddie can be an elite hitter.
How old is Phil Mickelson? Yeah, Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, he's like 50
he's still
something.
around.
I have no doubt Freddie can continue being an elite hitter. But this thing where he's just getting better and better and better, it's got to end at some point, right? Freddie Freeman just had his best career season ever by WRC plus. He won an MVP with the Braves. He was a fantastic hitter. At some point, there's especially because he's 34 now. Freddie's going to have to start declining a little bit. I don't know if he can continue having these 170 WRC plus seasons, especially because he's sacrificed power.
It's so fun, but that's the thing. That's the point. In baseball, we trust the data, we trust the aging curve, but there are some players who are able to beat those projections.
Oh, yeah,
essentially,
absolutely.
And if and they talk about the blueprint, the intangibles. Freddie Freeman is just one of those guys, and I'm still not mad. This obviously turned into a Freddie Freeman discussion, how as expected at this point, but I'm still happy to have Matt Olson. I'm still happy with the lineup, and now looking at that number, I'm glad the Braves didn't sign him. We were very loosely in the rumor mill, and it was all speculation. The Braves are, as we've noticed before,
you're talking about Ohtani
when it comes to
right, not Freeman.
Yes, yeah, Ohtani. Everything. We're still in the fallout of the signing. We haven't even seen what the contract structure looked like. I just saw a tweet from Ken Rosenthal.
Oh, you wanna tell the viewers who haven't maybe gotten a chance to see the number, what that contract is?
$700 million over 10 years. That is $70 million a year. Okay. Shohei Ohtani in a year is making almost as much as Ronald Acuna Jr. is making in his entire contract.
Oh my
God. About 60%, 65-ish% of what Acuna is making in 10 years.
I was doing
Ohtani's going to make that in a year.
A YouTuber's Shohei Ohtani video like a month ago, and he was wanting me to just find like clips of people saying numbers, like figures. And I'd found some video clips of a guy going like $700 million, and I included that, and it was pre Tommy John like surgery, before he needed the surgery. Keep in mind, he's making that 70 million AAV, and he's not pitching next year. So I can't wait to look at this contract structure.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the structure looks like, but I mean,
But that is
they said it's going to be. I'm assuming Otani's going to be getting a paycheck from the Dodgers until he's 80 years old.
There's got to be like one. I don't know. I saw it's going to be deferred. I don't get how that works to like offset the competitive balance tax. I think that is a weird loophole.
It is, yeah.
Because you still have to count it somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's making $70 million a year. I lost my train of thought because that's just so much. Oh, because when I was doing those clip finding things, the high number was 700 million, and that was pre-injury. We were thinking 500 to 600 million was going to be high. He got an extra 100 million. As Cole just said. Well, he's basically making. He'll make what Ozzy Albies' entire contract over the 7 years, by about July. So we got to talk to Baseball's Not Dead about that one.
This is Cott's contracts current. Next year, just as it currently stands, and I know most teams don't have their 26-man roster completed just yet, but just as it stands, just for point of reference, just with the current numbers that we have going into 2024, Shohei Ohtani next year will make more money alone than the entire payroll of the Guardians, Marlins, Royals, Brewers, Reds, Pirates, Orioles, and A's. Next year, he will make more money than those entire teams' payrolls. Insane stuff. Now, again, their numbers, but the Guardians are at 56 million. I don't think that number is going to jump up 14 million by March. It's not. So, and all these teams are looking to further shed payroll. I don't know the last time these numbers have been updated. I'm just looking at Cott's or Sport Track right now. Ohtani is going to be making a lot of money, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with the Dodgers getting him in that respect. I mean, we'll see what the deferred money looks like. They are going to loophole the hell out of that contract so it doesn't hamstring them and it allows them to get that payroll flexibility. But that's still a lot of money to commit to one player. I know it's Shohei Ohtani. I know it's the greatest player on earth. He's not pitching next year. We don't really know what kind of pitcher he's going to be when he comes back. They didn't specify what kind of surgery it was, and I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, I don't said Tommy John.
Know if it was a full Tommy John.
No, it was a UCL, but they were very dodgy about.
Yeah, for very good reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand the disappointment. I mean, if you're a Blue Jays fan watching this, then why?
I was so happy
if you're a Blue Jays
for him to be in a Blue Jays uniform. I talked myself
if
into
you're
it.
If you're a Blue Jays fan, if you're a Cubs fan, I know this is hard, but look on the bright side. That is a huge risk. I know he's the best player on the planet. I know he is the most marketable player on the planet. He's Shohei Ohtani. I get up every day. Like, one of my motivations for getting up every day is the fact that I get to live at the same time that Shohei Ohtani plays baseball, and I get to watch him.
Thanking God that I'm the age that I am right now as Shohei Ohtani is hitting baseball.
He's going to be a guy. It's funny how when he came up, we all compared him to Babe Ruth. He's going to be a guy that in 100 years and a player makes their way through the system as both a pitcher and hitter, they're going to be like, oh, is this the next Shohei Ohtani? He is a man that eludes hyperbole, because what he does is better than hyperbole. It's just unheard of. It really is. I mean, you can split up his numbers any way you want. It is just, it's insane. It's insane. But that being said, $70 million to one player. I know he's a pitcher. I mean, you're getting, and just the calculation that goes into that. Let's say you're paying $35 million for an ace pitcher, $35 million for one of the best hitters, but he's going to have to do that every year.
Value. It is an incredibly market value contract.
Yeah.
Getting back to this from like a Braves standpoint, in 2024, I'm not too worried about 2024. The Dodgers pitching is still kind of a mess. Even if they re-sign Clayton Kershaw, he's out until June or July. Kershaw will probably have, his Kershaw-y moments where he's an excellent pitcher for 5 innings, and then he pitches maybe like 100 innings if he's lucky. I'm looking at this lineup, this projected lineup, Cole, and I see a 1 through 3 that is one of the deadliest in history. And then I see a 4 through 9 that is frankly okay. So Will Smith is a good catcher. He is a good hitting catcher. He's slotted in that cleanup spot on this projected lineup that I'm looking at. He's okay. But he's not like Mike Piazza with the bat. Max Muncy is pretty much Kyle Schwarber, but technically an infielder. And we've got to keep in mind that with Ohtani, that means Muncy's still in the field. Max Muncy is one of the worst defensive infielders I've seen.
Okay. I think calling him Kyle Schwarber is a little of a disservice. I think he has better plate discipline. Like, I see a lot more holes in Kyle Schwarber's swing than Max Muncy's.
I think they're both pretty good hitters, but we're talking about all or nothing power.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like, and maybe this is not exactly recency bias, because obviously Kyle Schwarber's on-base rates are still really good, but I feel like Max Muncy, I feel like a good pitcher can pick apart Kyle Schwarber pretty easily. Sliders. I don't think a good pitcher can... What's up?
Just sliders.
Yeah, I don't think a good pitcher can easily pick apart Max Muncy. I think he's going to give you...
Max Muncy in 2022 had a 100 OPS plus. In 2023, he had a 115 OPS plus. Kyle Schwarber...
He was also injured in 22. He was coming back from the arm injury.
Yeah, he had a weird season in 2022.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Schwarber in 2022 had a 131 OPS plus, and then had a 122 OPS plus last year. They're very similar hitters. They both are low average, high on base, high power hitters. Kyle Schwarber, I think actually, if we're just taking the past 2 years, is a better hitter than Max Muncy.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
And this is no disrespect to Max Muncy. I think he's a great hitter to have in your lineup. But we are talking...
I didn't realize his OPS plus was that low last year.
Yeah,
I knew he struggled in 22.
He had the homers. He didn't have the average. He didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
James Outman is a wild card. I think he's good, but I don't...
He's like
young.
Michael Harris, but like a lot more raw than Michael Harris, which is saying a lot.
And this bottom of the
as
lineup
a hitter,
for me, I'm not a huge fan of. Chris Taylor recently has not been good. Jason Hayward, I wanted the Braves to sign Jason Hayward the past 2 years, but it is Jason Hayward. We're talking about a platoon player who had the best year of his career last year, or the best year in 10 years, since he was a St. Louis Cardinal. I don't know how sustainable that is, especially because he is, 35 now? And then Gavin Lux, we're talking about the guy who's coming off an ACL injury. We saw what happened to Ronald Acuna Jr. in 2022. Gavin Lux is going to have the same thing going on for him that Acuna had, except Lux is not the quality of player that Acuna is. So Lux should, once he's healed in 2025, be an above-average hitter who plays good defense. But
let's do a game real quick. Let's stack up the Braves projected lineup versus the Dodgers projected lineup, order by order. This episode's going to be in 2 parts, by the way. We were coming into this ready to record a 40-minute episode,
100%.
And then the Ohtani news broke. And Mitchell, you'll see this when you're editing, but I started recording, obviously, before you joined. I'm like, we're going to get Mitchell's live reaction to the Ohtani news. So, okay, Mookie Betts versus Ronald Acuna Jr. Who are you taking, and why is it Ronald Acuna Jr.?
Slight Acuna. I do expect Mookie to regress a little bit as a hitter. I mean, you can say the same about Acuna, but just if you look at Baseball Savant, if you look at like all of the expected stats, Acuna underperformed his expected stats. There was this one hit last year, and I know this is anecdotal, but it was a 1,000 xBA flyout. Mookie Betts doesn't have those.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't remember like when Acuna makes contact, which is often for him. It's good contact, like 80% of the time.
It
like
might be
crazy.
ground balls, but there's still, if you're hitting a 114 mile an hour ground ball, you still have a 600 expected batting average on those.
I mean, yeah, he's able to get at least some of the barrel on basically everything. It's insane. You never feel like he's they say the phrase easy out. Like, no, his outs aren't even easy. Ronald Acuna Jr. and then base stealing ability. Ronald is obviously a lot more aggressive than Betts. I think he's just more of a demon on the base paths. He, this is something you can't measure, but just the amount of attention that is required whenever he's on first compared to Mookie, who will, still in his age 31, 32 season, however old he is now, will still steal the occasional base. Ronald's always looking to go. There's never a situation he's not stealing. Okay, number 2.
Otani.
This is actually interesting.
Albies, is that the matchup we're going with here? I don't think there's a question about that. I can't even homer and can't be a big enough Braves fan to try and convince myself that Albies is better in this spot than Otani.
And that's another thing too. And I wish there was a stat, and maybe there is one out there. I would love to compare teams on this. The run probability of the first 3 hitters. Like, what's the probability if you're facing their 1, 2, 3 to start out an inning? So obviously the beginning of the game, and every time that part of the order comes out with, let's just say theoretically 0 outs. What is the probability that they're scoring a run? I would love for somebody a lot smarter than me to come up with that, because I think that would be such a fun comparing the top of each team's orders. And you can do it. You can slice it anyway, 4 through 6 or whatever. But I just want to emphasize how, and we love Albies here. We're a very pro Aussie Albies podcast. How much more valuable Otani is at 2 than Albies. Again, no offense to Albies here, but Otani is basically the best hitter on the planet.
By WRC,
especially next year.
Between Albies and Otani is the difference between Albies and a guy who has a 70 WRC plus. It's the difference between David Fletcher,
a fringe major leaguer.
We'll talk about David Fletcher and Ozzy Albies is the same difference as Albies to Otani.
Yeah. So just get that, in the back of your mind. In our minds, it's a 1-to-1, but Otani is just worth so much more in the 2 spot. Next up, Olsen and Freeman.
I really don't know, actually. I really like Olsen's power.
If either of us say Freeman, we are going to get so lit up in the comments. But I don't want that to be the reason I don't choose Freeman.
Here's my rationale if I choose Olsen. Freddie Freeman had 22 homers this past year. Getting on base is very valuable. Hitting home runs is, especially without sacrificing on base percentage, is even more to me. I think they were within a few percentages of WRC plus. I think when you have 2 guys who can get on base, and then you have Olsen who mashes home runs, you're talking about the potential for a 3-run homer every first inning. Freddie doesn't give you that. I think Freddie in this projected lineup would be better suited higher in the Dodgers order just because he is an on-base dude. But if we're taking that comparison, this projected lineup comparison, I'm taking Olsen, but I'm having to talk myself into it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm choosing Olsen for that reason. Also, too, I know we talked about how Freddie Freeman's. I think his aging curve has started, but it's just like a little nudge the other way.
His aging curve is Benjamin Buttoning. I don't think it started. His worst season came when he was like 24, 25. That's not supposed to happen.
What I'm saying is, I think next year is we'll see the decline, but instead of OPSing at 950, he's going to OPS at like 910.
If Freddie Freeman has a WRC plus of like 150 when he's at the end of this contract, it's going to make me sick. Like, I love Matt Olson. I think he's phenomenal. I didn't need to love Matt Olson if like the Braves had just signed Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. Moving on, fourth spot, we have Will Smith versus... Well, actually, wait a minute. No, it would have been Austin Riley at third.
It could be either way. I don't think it matters too much.
In that case, I'm choosing Freeman over Riley, but then I'm choosing Olsen over Smith.
If it's
any day of the week.
Smith over Riley, I'm choosing Riley by a lot. If it's Smith over Olsen, I'm choosing Olsen by a lot. If it's Freeman versus Riley, I'm taking Freeman. So...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So for us to make this work for the Braves' perspective, let's just pretend that it's Freeman Olsen. We slight Olsen, and then it's Smith Riley, and we fully take Riley.
We're gerrymandering. We're gerrymandering these lineup rankings here.
Absolutely.
Okay. Number 5, we'll have
Ozuna and Muncy.
Would it be Ozuna? Yeah. I feel. Okay. We knew Ohtani was not signed with the Braves, but mentally in my head, I was like, we're trading Ozuna. We're going to trade him for like his peak value, pay down some of his contract, but get most of it off the books. And then, so, okay, we do have Ozuna. Ozuna is going to be our DH next year.
I just had to my delusional self was like, Shohei Ohtani, the blue screen of death is going to happen. It's going to shock the world. And then we're shipping off Ozuna. But whatever,
Yeah, I just have to like resubmit the fact that Ozuna will be our DH next year. Like, I just was so confident that even if we didn't get Ohtani, that we would have done something where he was basically irrelevant or redundant in a way. So, okay, Ozuna versus Muncy.
I'm taking Ozuna just as a hitter. If we're just talking lineup stuff. Actually, if we're talking, I just don't like Max Muncy's defense. I really hate his defense. I liked him a lot as a first baseman.
But then Muncy had a 115 OPS plus last year. Like, I thought he was a lot better.
Ozuna had like a 140.
Yeah.
I think we have to take Ozuna.
We're going to look dumb if we don't, because I was like, but Ozuna's going to regress. But it's like, Muncy has already regressed.
Yeah.
Like, he's already... So we have to choose Ozuna.
Like, if Ozuna regresses to 120, optimistically, he's had a lot of bad seasons, but he had also underperformed, and he still underperformed his expected stats. I really just think Ozuna could be a 120 WRC plus player this next season.
His floor is just so much worse than Muncy's, though. Like, Muncy in a bad season is OPS plusing at 100. I don't count 2020. 2020 does not matter to me. Just throw that out the window. But Ozuna, I mean,
I think Muncy's
we saw some of the worst years from him.
Low. We're talking about a guy who strikes out a ton. Ozuna doesn't strike out like that.
Yeah, but like Ozuna swings a lot more, and Muncy's at least patient. Like I like the way lefties project more than righties, but I can't in good faith choose Muncy, because if you go, just in a vacuum, a guy with 115 versus 140, and you choose the guy with 115. I mean, if you're wrong about that, you look awful. So I'm gonna stick with Ozuna here.
So this next one would be James Outman.
Doesn't matter. You're still out, man.
And the catchers, the Braves catchers.
I'm gonna see. This is kind of the similar argument to because Outman looked lost at the plate at times last year, but at the same time,
So
the
did Sean
catchers looked
Murphy.
lost
Sean
at the
Murphy
plate.
was so bad at the end
Yeah,
of the season. I still can't get my head around it.
yeah,
Um, can we just say this one's kind of a wash? Like, I think Murphy, if he gets the majority of the playing time, will have a better hitting season than James Outman by a few percentage points. But
yeah,
you also have to factor in Travis d'Arnaud's slightly below average offense. And I think they're going to both be in that 110, 115 range.
yeah.
I think, well, I guess if we're
I'm
also talking
okay.
about base running, Outman would have the base running advantage because I don't think.
Yeah, this is why it's hard to maybe it wasn't the best idea to do lineup comparisons. We should have probably done positional comparisons.
And we're
'cause
too
it's
far
like,
into this.
I
We're
don't.
6 slots into this.
Yeah, yeah. We got 9 minutes for the first part here. So, you know what? We gave Austin Riley the benefit over Will Smith, so we'll give the Dodgers
Slight
Outman
advantage,
over
yeah.
our catchers. Yeah.
Number 7,
Um.
Jarred Kelenic versus Chris Taylor.
Oh, Jarred Kelenic.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I overlooking
Jarred
just how bad
Kelenic's-
Chris Taylor was?
He
I thought he was
He
still
was not
serviceable.
good last year.
I thought he was weird though.
he was pretty not good last year.
100 W
And he's like
OPS plus.
he still posted 100 WRC plus last year.
Man, these Dodgers players, they will get to league average by any means.
Wait, what was I like? I literally was looking at a Savant page the other day, and I was like, oh my god,
I think
he was
Chris Taylor's
bad.
a cool artist. I think he's like an Arenado type where they just pull the hell out of the ball.
If anybody who knows me knows that I, just as a content, an MLB content maker, I love WPA. I don't care that it's kind of a silly stat. I feel like Chris Taylor always is coming up. Oh wow. Okay. He was actually 91st percentile in sweet spot percentage, but got a low hard hit rate, awful K rate. Struck out 32% of the time.
I am personally taking Chris Taylor over Kelenic. I think Kelenic has all-star potential. I think the ceiling for Jarred Kelenic over Chris Taylor is astronomically different. But Kelenic hasn't showed it, and the Mariners just gave up on him because they wanted to drop salary.
I think Jarred Kelenic in the Braves hitting lab will be better than Chris Taylor next year. And it's not even going to be close.
Okay.
I think Jarred Kelenic is going to be somewhere between like Ozuna's 2023 and oh man, I'm really putting myself on the spot here now with this kind.
Ozuna's 20. You think he's going to
That's
be?
like that's the ceiling.
Okay, that's the ceiling.
That's
I thought
like
that was your
that's
floor
like
for a
the 80. No, that's like the 80th percentile, and then between that, I see him being like Dansby Swanson's 2022 offensively.
Okay.
Like he could be. There is an extreme disparity there, but I think his potential is our Ozuna last year. Maybe not 40 homers good, but I'm thinking like he could hit 35 plus doubles, 25 plus homers, 250, 370, 490 slash line. If he's playing in all like 162 as well, which he might be platooning with Vaughn Grissom.
I don't think Vaughn Grissom is on this team come the spring.
Oh, hot take.
I just don't see a spot for him. But we can talk to that after the break. Hayward and the right field platoon versus Arcia. I'm taking the Dodgers right field platoon.
That's one thing. I don't believe in Arcia's offense next year. We'll get to this in the projections and previews, but just he started off strong. I mean, his year last year, which when it was all said and done, it was solid. It was serviceable for a shortstop, but it was inflated by the first 2 months of the season. And then it was same thing with Sean Murphy, where it's like you look at it in totality and you're like, okay, that's pretty good. And then you see as the season wore on, and you're like, oh, that was not good.
All right. I think this one is another really easy one. Gavin Lux versus Michael Harris.
Oh, Gavin Lux, easily.
I was ready to agree
Michael
with you,
Harris.
and then you hit me with the wrong name.
Yeah.
I'm taking the guy who just had a bowling charity event that Mookie decided to show up for.
That was really cool.
So definitely.
Was that in Georgia? Was that a Bolero? Oh, I know where that is. I used to go to that
You
place.
should have gone there.
Because when Josh Donaldson played for the Braves, he held an event at the Bolero. I don't know if it was the one in Marietta. There's multiple locations, but if it was the one in Marietta, damn, I go to that location.
You could have
bowled with
Mookie.
Michael.
Could have bowled with Mookie. And
Yeah,
Michael
could
Harris.
have just be collect. I could have just started collecting Braves players that I met this year.
Okay, so here we go. So the first lineup spot we're giving to the Braves. The second lineup spot we're giving to the Dodgers. Third, we've gerrymandered it, so we give it to the Braves. Fourth, we've gerrymandered it, so we give it to the Braves. That's 3 versus 1 in the 1 through 4 to the Braves.
We're not biased.
Not biased at all. 5, we gave it to the Braves. 6, we gave it to the Dodgers. 7, we gave it to... We didn't agree on this one. So, we'll give it to the Braves.
Just call it. Okay.
8, we gave it to the Dodgers. 9, we gave it to the Braves. If I am doing my math right, did we just go 6-3?
We did. Not biased
Not
at all.
biased
We're
at
not
all.
biased.
We are not biased at all.
That being said, I think you just have to emphasize how much better Otani is in the 2-hole than Albies.
Like,
But
so
even
much.
then, hey, if we gave them an extra point for them, it's still 6-4. So, we are not biased. We are a fair podcast. We are baseball fans. Damn it, we pay attention to everything. We have no lives outside of this.
I've
literally not left this
since
room.
the last podcast, so...
Exactly. We told you guys, 500 subscribers, and it hasn't happened yet. I know my room looks slightly different, but it's still the same room. I just
He
rearranged
got
some things because I was
so
going crazy.
crazy that he actually knocked out a wall and installed a window.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
So,
if you're listening, you enjoy what we've heard so far, subscribe to us.
we want
Tell us what you think about the
500
Otani signing.
by the end of the off season. If you could get us to 500, we will talk more baseball, probably.
We will, yeah. Mitchell, I heard some Braves transactions also happened this week. Do you want to, after the break, talk about those as well?
I forgot we were a Braves podcast. We just talked about the Dodgers and compared. I thought we were a Dodgers podcast comparing the Braves, and that's why we gave the Braves 6-3 split. We will talk about a lot of weird trades going on that I don't fully understand after the break.
What is he cooking?
What is he cooking?
See you guys on the other side. And we are back with actual Braves news. This was going to be the original conceit of the episode, and then, as everybody knows, the Otani signing broke, and we had to discuss it because it affects the entire baseball world. I'm pretty sure your favorite Rockies podcast is also going to be discussing the Otani signing. So,
Man, we should
the
have
Braves,
done a Rockies podcast. The market for that must not be very big.
There's probably, I would say there's a strong contingent of Rockies podcast. Could I name one of them? No. Do they exist? Probably, in some capacity. They have loyal fans. They actually, I was looking at some of the attendance figures. They still have some of the best attendance figures out of all MLB teams. So they have a loyal fan base. It's just nothing else.
Yeah. So I did a short podcast on the Kelenic trade. earlier this week. Cole was not available to join for that, so we're gonna get his opinions more than mine on this one. On I don't even know when it was. Monday night, the Braves announced that they had traded for Jarred Kelenic, Marco Gonzalez, and Evan White from the Seattle Mariners in exchange for Cole Phillips and Jackson Kowar. If you're a Braves fan, you probably don't even recognize the names Jackson Kowar and Cole Phillips, and in about a month and a half, you'll forget about Evan White and Marco Gonzalez completely. So, what are your thoughts on the trade?
I just love the strategy of AA trading for a player either to or from the Royals and then flipping that player either to and from the Royals or from the Royals for a better player. Obviously, we all know about the Taylor Hearn for Nicky Lopez masterclass that he pulled off this year, which made us a better team. I like this a lot. I mean, it basically solves our issue at left field. We were speculating who we would sign, whether we would bring back Eddie Rosario for, 12 million plus a year, because it was a mutual option. I believe, was it a mutual option? It was a team option, yeah. So it actually would have been less than that. We would have tried to negotiate down. Kelenic is a super affordable solution right now. He is ARB 1. No, it's not even ARB yet.
He's got 1.1 years of service time. So I think he's within a few days of his second year of service time. He's still pretty old.
Oh, how come I think like he made his debut in 2020 or something? That's crazy. So he's not even
to, but then he didn't want to accept the contract extension from the Mariners, so they kept him down.
Yeah, so Jarred Kelenic, for those of you who don't know, and which I started listening to the podcast and then got distracted with something. It has been a busy week, so apologies if all this is redundant information. Jarred Kelenic was highly ranked in the Met system, and then he was the premier prospect, the headliner prospect that was brought in for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano. With the Mariners, he didn't really find his footing. He actually struggled a lot in 2021. That's when he made his debut. He was actually sent down in the middle of the season. Last year, he started showing signs of his true potential. He hit a 500-foot home run at Wrigley Field early in the year. Started to struggle, actually broke his foot after slamming it against a cooler. So hopefully he doesn't do any of that while with the Braves. In terms of just his approach to versus what the Braves teach, I think it's like a great match, in my opinion. He's got a ton of raw power. He also has a ton of swing and miss in his game, but I do think the Braves can basically tell him, hey man, this is your pitch. Hunt this pitch. Don't even offer it anything else. If you see the break, stay away. We don't know exactly if he's going to platoon him or if they're going to platoon him or not. Mitchell believes that Vaughn Grissom has no place on this roster. I heard from a few sources that they might try to set up a platoon situation with Grissom and Kelenic, and that would give them, whenever Kelenic is starting, some positional flexibility, even though Grissom is not an upgrade anywhere in the field. So I don't know if that's where your argument comes from. So I think it's really good. It's definitely, I would say, the fact that we're getting a left fielder for basically league minimum salary when we were pretty much expecting them to throw at least $7 million for one. Created
and
pretty.
In a sense, we did, but the Gonzalez contract, he still had $12 million, I think. The Braves got $4.5 million. Evans White's deal this year was worth $6.5 million. He still had another 15-20 million on his contract. So I mean, obviously you got to factor that in.
Yeah.
But Kelenic himself is a league minimum salary.
Yeah. So getting to that, yeah, Gonzalez and Evan White were also part of the trade. Marco Gonzalez is just an innings eater at this point in his career. He's been around for a while, came up with the Cardinals, and then signed with the Mariners or was traded to the Mariners at some point. And then Evan White was another case of why you should be very wary of giving a contract to a person who has never played a major league game. He signed like a 6-year, $24 million contract with them back in like 2018, 2019, 2020. Okay. So he's still got
Evan
a
White
few years
has
left to go.
be the player with the fewest MLB games to have won a Gold Glove.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone who has fewer games. Evan White has a Gold Glove, won it in 2020. He does not have 100 career games total. Like,
Insane.
There can't be.
That's gonna be a fun fact one day. But both those players, just from a casual Braves fan perspective, won't really matter. Just like what you said with Jackson Kowar and Cole Phillips, those are two names you might not be familiar with, and you don't really need to familiarize yourself with them because they both got traded. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, the Braves traded Marco Gonzalez to the Pirates. In a weird deal, it was Marco Gonzalez and cash to the Pirates for a player to be named later, or cash. The Braves might have traded cash for cash. I don't get that at all. But Gonzalez is out of the system. I think the Braves ended up paying the Pirates $7 to $9 million. I haven't seen a solid source for that. But then again, they also might be getting cash. So there was some theories that the Braves were hoping that the Pirates would pick someone in the Rule 5 draft who got picked before the Pirates were able to pick that player. And so instead, the Braves will just get the cash back that they gave the Pirates to select that player. I don't know. So yeah, I wouldn't have hated holding on to Gonzalez, but since he's not in the system anymore, I really am not going to sweat about it. He is exactly what you said, an innings eater. Then last night, we were recording on Saturday. I think this will go up on Sunday afternoon. The Braves traded Evan White and Tyler Thomas, who I had never heard of because he was in the system for 50 hours. They traded those two players to the Angels for David Fletcher and Max Stassi. The funny things about Stassi and Fletcher is they both signed extensions with the Angels and then immediately, and I kid you not, immediately turned into pumpkins. Fletcher was a slightly below to average hitter before his extension. He has been horrible since then. He has a 71 WRC plus over the past, I think it's 3 seasons now, 2021, 2022, 2023. He was in the minors last year. He was so bad. I think he even got outrighted off the roster and no one claimed him. He still plays decent defense at second, shortstop, third base. He's played in the outfield before. I saw someone say he's the antithesis of the Braves' offensive philosophy, where he has a sub 10% K rate in his career, but he has absolutely no power. I think he has 7 career home runs. I may be wrong, but it's in that area. Stassi is a catcher, and I don't even think we need to waste a lot of time with Stassi. He might be traded by the time this podcast goes live. And unless that trade is involving like Tyler Glasnow or Dylan Cease, we're not going to make an amendment. So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on these trades?
So, David Fletcher is pretty much going to be infield depth. You know, there's a lot of snow that was made because we did trade Nicky Lopez, who I would argue is more valuable for that role specifically. David Fletcher's still a fine fielder, but it's not every day where you get somebody who can play at an elite level at multiple positions. So, you know, I mean, it's definitely, I think right now we're seeing, and we said this a few weeks ago, it's like we're seeing this puzzle being built or this puzzle coming together, and we don't quite yet know what the entire picture looks like. And I don't think we will quite know until
knows.
Yeah. I think for him, right now he's building this jigsaw puzzle, and he knows the pieces that he needs. And right now he's shuffling around. He knows he has a little bit of payroll flexibility. That's why we made the trade with the Mariners, to be able to take on some of their bad contracts to get what we need in a left fielder for cheap, send those off. And a lot of people have been making the comparison of, trading a paperclip up until you trade it for a car. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the master plan is. I still hope that, let's reverse engineer it here. What we need right now, in my opinion, is one more controllable starter for, and I don't know exactly. We're getting to Dylan Cease in a second, but we need somebody who we feel we can get at least 2 to 3 years of below market rate. And with Dylan Cease, I don't know what he made last year. I mean, his almost Cy Young award-winning 22 is going to, I'm assuming gave him a huge arbitration boost, and he's going to be making pretty decent money the next 2 years. The hope would be trade, buy out those 2 years, give him some guaranteed money, similar to what we've done. Dylan Cease, I believe in his stuff. I believe in his mechanics. I believe in his track record. I believe he suits the Braves' philosophy when it comes to pitching. So we'll see. I mean, basically, I think what we're trying to do is build a package, and maybe David Fletcher is even a possible replacement for if we trade Vaughn Grissom. Where right now Vaughn Grissom, Braden Shoemake, those guys are high on our infield depth chart. And maybe
on the team.
What's up?
Braden Shoemaker's no longer on the team.
Oh, he got DFA'd. Yeah.
He got traded to the White Sox.
Yeah, he got traded. Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't keep up with all these, man.
Remember when we recorded this podcast like a month ago, and we were like, yeah, I don't even know what the Braves are going to do. It's going to be a pretty chill offseason.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Now we can't keep track of who's on the team or not.
Wait, we DFA'd Chadwick Trump too. We DFA'd Chadwick Trump. Oh
He's
my
back.
gosh. We signed him to a minor league deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, man,
could you slow down just a little?
Yeah, dude. It's hard.
Bit.
It's hard playing all these shows and making these silly little videos and keeping up with what you're doing. It's too much. Just take it a day at a time. Okay. Braden Shoemake. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Forget he ever existed.
Okay, so David Fletcher. Okay, so David Fletcher would be if we want to part ways with Vaughn Grissom, we have depth, major league ready depth in the infield. It's partially better. Again, using the fact that we do have a little more payroll flexibility. I still think he's just trying to build something that will give us either insurance or be part of a trade package for a Tyler Glasnow or Tyler Glasnow is probably off the table because he's signed to like has 1 year left on his contract. But I still like Dylan Cease a lot. I don't know if that's who we're going after, but I think that's the last major piece that we need to be able to say, okay, we were successful this offseason. We were able to cover what we needed to cover.
I think with Fletcher, I actually am under the assumption that he is the backup infielder for the Braves, like Nicky Lopez was. I just can't get behind the idea that the Braves want Vaughn Grissom as the backup infielder / left field platoon. They already don't trust his defense at second base. They're not going to trust it at short. They're not going to trust it at third. He hasn't played third, I don't even think. And he's going to learn left field. The reason why I don't think he's on the team come March, and I'm fine if I'm wrong about this. I've been wrong about a lot of things. Is that they don't want him to waste time as a backup on the major league roster. But he's kind of outplayed himself from Gwinnett. So
Yeah.
right now he is at his most valuable from a trade perspective. He probably was most valuable last year when he looked like he could hit major league pitching. This year it didn't look like he could. But right now he's technically probably at his highest trade value. The Braves, if they do acquire a starting pitcher, whether it be Dylan Cease, I don't actually think it will be Dylan Cease. I think it's going to be one of those acquisitions where people are like, oh, we didn't even think that guy was available. I think that's what Anthopoulos does very well, acquiring people who you don't actually expect.
George Kirby. No.
Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine?
That would be my
his name?
Shohei signing. Like, I actually would think that would be a better acquisition than giving Shohei $70 million a year.
Who's their other young starter? I can picture him, but I can't name him. I keep wanting Logan Gilbert. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Be
a little less excited.
I could see kind of that swap.
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert, Vaughn Grissom plus AJ Smith-Shawver or whatever. But I look at this Fletcher trade, and the Braves never rest their infielders. They just need a guy who has good vibes, who can play infield in a pinch, who knows his role.
We need
That's
our
why they
Charlie.
signed
We
a
need
guy
our
like-
Charlie Culberson. Essentially.
Well, we need him for the bullpen. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's our Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I fully expect him to be under a minor league deal with the Braves as a pitcher this spring training. But it's the reason why. God.
You were the one who broke the story of Charlie Culberson being developed as a pitcher. If we do actually break him being on their roster, their 40-man as reliever, that will probably be the biggest moment for BravesKast, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
BravesKast, I had no sources for that. Think of what I could have with sources. I did my own independent investigative journalism and determined that the way the Braves were using Charlie Culberson and his absence off the roster was a clear sign that he was becoming a pitcher. And one day later, he had an interview where he's like, "Yeah, I'm a pitcher." Give me some sources, Braves.
Mitchell is the best investigative journalist that I know personally, and I know a couple investigative journalists. I just can't name them right now because they like to remain anonymous. But do it. We need sources.
We need sources. Anyway,
I don't know anybody on the Braves, unfortunately.
Yeah, you are the closest. I do not live. I probably could pick up some national sources here, but that's not going to be very worthwhile.
I'm going to do it where I know I don't live by the stadium anymore, but I know where everybody parks. I'm just gonna walk back and forth and just see. If I observe something, if I see a player walking into the clubhouse, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that?
You really need to be a bat boy. You need to
bat boy, yeah. Undercover. I got like a little fake mustache or something, just so people don't know who I am.
Mole Boppertson.
Mole Boppertson. Love it. Let's
nobody
would suspect
ever
thing.
Suspect someone named Mole.
That is the most clever nickname.
Clever
for this.
So yeah, I just don't see Grissom on the roster. I think he's more valuable as a trade asset. I think Alex Anthopoulos has said what he needs to say. At this moment, we expect Grissom to be playing for left. They are sending him to Puerto Rico to learn left field as extra trade incentive, where they're like, he is so versatile, but they're not going to waste him on the bench, and they don't want to send him back to the minors. They know that Vaughn doesn't want to be in the minors. Yeah. So
I would say for anybody who wants to do their own, be like Mitchell and do their own, independent journalism, go out there, search for any pitcher that's in R1 on a bad team who desperately needs some depth. That would be your list. And then just look at that list. One of those players, I assure you, will be on the Braves by opening day. That's my broadest of strokes last move that I think is going to be made. Or we just, sign Yamamoto for $300 million. That's where we come out of nowhere. I would love that so much. Did you see?
I don't want the Mets to get him. Him and Senga on a team. They're going to be like, in
deadly.
backyard baseball where you get like two siblings on a team,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like powerful. You get two pitchers from the same country and they turn into both Cy Young candidates. I think that's how it works.
It's going to be
no team has been daring enough to try it.
It's going to be DeGrom and Syndergaard all over again, but they're actually going to be good for more than like 3 years together.
Yeah.
Oh.
I kind of wish the Mets went after Ohtani, if I'm going to be honest.
I'm okay that they didn't. I think I'd prefer the Dodgers having Ohtani than just because we'd have to see him more on the Mets. Like, I know the games that we're going to see Ohtani in are going to be more important, assuming we're playing each other in the playoffs for the next 10 years. But I just would be so annoyed having to see Ohtani play 13 times a year and just him beat us throughout the season.
I love the idea of Daddy Steve giving out an $800 million contract.
Oh, man.
But
$700 million still. I had to check to make sure that was not like a parody account or anything, because I
thought it was. I really thought it was.
So yeah, that was the Braves portion of our podcast, which it looks like it's going to be about half as long as the first part.
I can get on a soapbox and say that I personally don't believe that the Braves should sign or trade for a controllable starter. I think the fear is that after next year you lose Morton and Fried. But you don't have to lose Fried. You don't have to.
Those are going to be some conversations. But conversations for another day. There's going to be a lot of Fried talk next year and a lot of speculation. I mean, did they even agree? Arbitration hasn't started.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, so
that's gonna go.
There's going to be.
I just think the Braves should just pony up once and say, Fried is better than anybody else on the market. We can just give him market value. Although now that the Dodgers have Ohtani, maybe they can't afford Fried. And where else is he going to go?
Yeah,
San
exactly.
Diego?
Also,
they're selling players.
Fried can be our Ohtani. He can hit. Do you remember? He was like we used to pinch hit and pinch run for Fried. I mean, dude, he's a freakazoid athlete too. Don't let the skinny frame fool you.
Should one if just for fun, let him be a DH one day, because he's come within like 5 feet of a home run, but he still has not hit his first career homer. And I know Max Fried cares about that. I know he does.
Yeah, I say do it.
He's not going to say that he does, but I know he does.
Give Ozuna a day off from a day off. Let him rest his legs and give Fried the start at DH.
Sorry.
That would be awesome.
There's no better hitters in the bench.
Yeah, honestly.
Who are you going to start? David Fletcher?
Yeah, David Fletcher, the DH. Oh man,
oh.
I bet the Angels did that one time. I bet you, if you looked back at David Fletcher's game logs, like there's one game where he started DH for like no reason.
I think Baseball Reference will say that he did, but it's probably like a pinch run. But give me just a second. Let's look.
He pinch hit for the DH or pinch ran for the DH. He pinch ran for Albert Pujols once.
No spots on the DH.
Dang, come on, Angels. You would do that.
Well, we knew
too.
The Angels were incompetent.
Yeah.
Like, how do you let Shohei Ohtani walk for $700 million? Just pay him
$700
million. Everybody's
got come on
money.
Yeah,
Everybody's
have that already.
got that money.
I actually for the first time ever, I retweeted John Heyman because he did have a funny little note where one of the rival bidders team said, "Trust us, we were not at $699 million," which I think is a great quote.
I assume that was Alex Anthopoulos, who was offering $400 million.
Yeah.
And he was like, but think about all the winning you can do here. And think about all of the great things you can do with that 1% to the Braves Foundation. And Shohei went, the Dodgers are letting me do the same thing, but for $700 million. And Alex was like, yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah. We care about winning here. And Shohei's like, yeah, they do too.
When do you think the Dodgers went to $700 million? Because if they started off with $700 million back on like November 5, why did it take a month?
Okay. I'm trying to just think how the offers would start. I'm assuming they started at 400. Just I mean, I don't know if you really want. I mean, I guess that's a low ball. It's still 400 million. And then I think, kind of you add 25, 50 million, and then collectively you lose teams. So I think like there was probably, I would say, 4 teams at 500 million, right? Like 4 or 5 teams at 500 million. And then maybe at the end, it's like the Blue Jays and Dodgers were at 600, and then the Dodgers were just like blew right past them. And
here's what I think happened.
Blue Jays couldn't even come close.
I think yesterday, when the guy on Dodgers Nation said that he was going to be a Blue Jay, I think he got the right intel. I think Shohei had met with the Dodgers to say he was going to take the Blue Jays offer, and the Dodgers ownership went, give us 24 hours. Give us 24 hours. We'll give you a deal that you cannot refuse. And Shohei went, I will not take that plane with Rob from Shark Tank to Toronto. I'll stay right at home. And 9 a.m. this morning, the Dodgers faxed him over that offer sheet, and they were like, $700 million. And he went, are you serious? And they're like, yeah. And it was probably like $100 million more than what the Blue Jays were giving him.
Like they
like,
basically, I think they want to ensure that if I like that theory a lot, actually. Your investigative journalism skills have grown literally in the last like 30 minutes.
My conspiracy theories are just very.
I think they were close, like you said, and then the Dodgers were like, we just don't want the Blue Jays. We don't even want to give them an opportunity to match. Like we're not. Yeah. I think for the first month, teams are just playing the incremental game, which that's adding 10 million per, 25 million per. I mean, I'm not behind those doors. And then suddenly last minute, I think you're right. Dodgers are like, no, we're done playing this. We know we can get Ohtani, and we can make it work. I'm so curious to see what those deferrals look like.
I really don't get how they count against the CBT. Like, I think I want there to be like a thing where they go, actually, it doesn't help the CBT, and now the Dodgers have to trade Freddie Freeman back to the Braves for like
nothing.
Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, they actually were like manipulating the collective like stipulations of the collective bargaining agreement, and they have to like forfeit half their team.
Trade Mookie Betts back to the Dodgers. They have to like any player with an original Max Muncy and Max Muncy get to play with each other on the A's. They save Oakland.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's it.
Anyway.
Pretty crazy day for baseball fans everywhere. And we will see you guys next time. Jarred Kelenic's a Brave. That's pretty huge. It's so crazy. I think that news is about to just like destroy Twitter. I mean, such a momentous trade.
Absolutely.
Just shaking the core of the sport.
For real,
everybody's
one
tweeting
of our
about.
Podcasts should just be me reminding you who's where. So like I show you a picture of Kyle Wright and you go, "Oh my god!"
Like, guess where these people who played on the Braves in 2023 are now?
Is this player still a Brave? And I show you Eric Young Jr. or Eric Young Sr. and you go, yes, and I go wrong. He's an angel.
And then you show me like Chadwick Trump. I'm like, no, we DFA'd him. You're like, nope, he's still on the team. Angel Perdomo
is really gonna throw you off.
Angel Perdomo. Wait. No, I'm thinking of a different Perdomo. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, right. We should do that. I might embarrass myself a little bit. Not gonna lie, but I will
study the Braves roster.
I will embarrass myself in our entertainment 24/7. If you want to see me embarrass myself, I did just do a album ranking, 2023 album ranking with Foolish Baseball on his Foolish Bailey channel, and some guy named Spencer Strider. He's in the Braves organization. I heard he can throw like really fast. Coming. Yeah, he's definitely on our radars now that I did an episode with him.
Definitely don't own his jersey.
Please check that out.
One of two
Don't
ways.
don't ship from using FedEx. Only use USPS, American Postage Systems.
Support America, the government.
So
Go
anyway,
watch that video with Foolish Bailey and Spencer Strider, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your Braves fans. So
and
I can say that I have the worst takes ever.
for more amazing investigative journalism, please check out Mitchell's articles on House That Hank Built. Whenever I'm having cold sweats at night, which happens pretty much every day of my life, I always crack up and open a nice, cool, refreshing bottle of a House That Hank Built article, and it just puts me to sleep, but in a good way. It's like curling up with a good book, but it's an article.
I mean, it's like
on my phone.
every time you reread Charlie Culberson is Becoming a Picture, it's just like rereading an old novel that brings you comfort and joy.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, take it easy, everyone, and we will see y'all next time.